Sandy Miodo Gugis with Profound Way. And hello again from Valencia, Spain. So today I wanted to talk to you about Spanish culture. And I actually got this idea from my husband, Michael. I said, hey, what's a good Facebook Live topic? And he said, why don't Americans take siesta? Oh, why don't we? That's a good question. And of course, I can answer that question historically, anthropologically, sociologically, geographically. Siesta started in cultures where it's too damn hot to be out in the middle of the day. And so people went indoors and they cooled off. And this is when people were farmers and they were out there working the land and tending animals. They're outside. And it was literally too damn hot. So they went inside and sometimes they took a nap or at least rested. And in Spain, that idea continues. It's not as prevalent as it once was. Larger corporations don't do that, but small stores do. There is a nail salon across the street from me, and I keep wanting to get over there for a manicure because I'm way overdue. And I never seem to make it when they're not on siesta because that's the time that I want to take my break from my work is the hottest part of the day, but they're taking their break as well. So I have not managed to connect with them yet, and they're right across the street. And the way it works here in the Spanish cities that I have been to, and I've been to several, but all in the southern half, is that nothing opens until about 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 10:30. And then they close from 2 to 4, 2:30 to 4:30, maybe even 2 to 4:30. A few places, they take 2.5 hours, but generally it's a 2-hour break. And then they open back up. A lot of restaurants, that break is shifted later, especially if they're not breakfast restaurants. Then they're open for lunch. They take a later break and they start serving dinner at 8 or 8:30. So everything shifts later. It starts later, it goes later, but there's this 2-hour break in the day. And it's really, really nice. I have no complaints about this. You just know it when you come here. Things are going to be closed. And sometimes there's a sign on the door and sometimes there isn't, but just plan on if it's a small place, it's not part of a large chain, it's almost definitely going to be closed. Whether it's a shop or a little restaurant, a bar, a cafe, there's a ton of cafes around. Michael and I had lunch at one today. We were out doing some shopping. I needed some art supplies because I can't go anywhere without, some kind of art supplies to do something with. And managed to get out here with no paint. Oh, how did that happen? Lots of markers, but no paints. I had to go get some watercolors. Anyway, we were coming back from that and we found a little cafe and it was late enough that it was open. So we had lunch at like 4 in the afternoon because that's just, how it worked out for us today. We have totally shifted. We've become Spaniards. We've gone native, at least in terms of our schedules. And I love it personally. What's nice about the siesta culture is that you don't have to take a nap. It's just a rest. People traditionally go home. You can't get your shopping done because every place else is closed too. Now I have 2 supermarket chains that have stores in this neighborhood that I can walk to. One is 1 block away, the other's about a block and a half. I mean, it's high walkability index, this neighborhood. And they don't close for siesta. They are, however, closed on Sundays. So, that at both of them. So large grocery store chains are both big in Europe and closed on Sundays. And again, that's totally fine. You just need to plan ahead. And I've been to Spain enough times. I knew that. Get all the shopping done on Saturday because Sunday you're not going to have the opportunity to go get the milk. It's fine. People rest. They take their rest. They have a work-life balance. Maybe some of them do take a nap when they go home for siesta. That's great. I'm a firm believer in naps. Naps are a wonderful system reset, not just for the body, but for the emotions as well, for the brain. It really helps our whole regulatory system to have a little downtime. Or meditation. That's a good one. I have generally, in most jobs I've had since I first started meditating in 1998, have found a way to sneak in a meditation during my break. And it might just be 5 minutes because maybe I only have a 10-minute break. What is it about American employers that they begrudge us our breaks? That's a whole other issue. I've been an employee most of my life. I've been an employer a small part of my life. And I don't understand still why employers, especially big employers, push so hard. That's why you get burnout. That's why people quit. So, if we employers treat people better, then they can be whole people and they're more likely to stay. And if we, in the role of employee, make sure that we have a healthy work-life balance, then we can work better. I remember a friend of mine telling me about something he had read, and I can't remember who it was, but it was like an inventor or entrepreneur or someone. And the quote that the man said was that he could do in 11 months what he could not do in 12. And I love that. I think that is so true. Many European countries have at least twice as much vacation time as we get in the United States, and they're not less productive. So it works. It works to have that downtime and have that rest. So I am a firm believer in siesta. What might that look like for you? Well, if you are like me and you're self-employed and you have some control over your time, then schedule some breaks in your day. I schedule my breaks when I am going to be shifting mental gears from one task to another task. For example, I'm currently working on a course, which I hope to launch in January, if you're interested, on healing your body and your mind through balancing your chakras. Sounds a little woo-woo, but there's some science there. And if you've been around me a while, you know I'm big on both the woo and the science. So I'm working on that class, and that requires some creativity. I'm making a PowerPoint slide deck. I have some pretty graphics. I'm trying to make everything very clear to bring all the tools that I learned as a college professor to bear to make this simple, easy to follow, easy to implement. But then I also have to do the back end technical stuff. Not my favorite, but it needs to be done. And it's not super complicated, to be honest. I just don't like it. It really is, for me, kind of the opposite hemisphere of my brain. When I'm creating the course, I'm more in artistic mode. When I'm doing the programming, I'm more in science mode. So when I get ready to shift from one hemisphere of my brain to the other, I take a little break. And frequently I do a short meditation during that time. Maybe I'll go for a little walk or do a walking meditation. When I have my dog Gracie with me, playing with Gracie is a really nice little break. So that's my siesta. I know it's not 2 hours when I'm in the US or Canada because the flow of my life does not allow that while I am there. If I want to be around other people, I have to honor their schedules. And I kind of do like other people, so I have to work with that, and that's also absolutely fine. But when left to my own devices, I do schedule in break time. And my break may be 30 minutes or an hour. When I'm working from home and I schedule my lunch, and I schedule my lunch in with everything else, because I will get so busy and I enjoy my job and I will just have head down and I'll forget to eat. So I put my lunch in my planner so that I don't forget. But I always give myself an hour. It's going to take me about 15 minutes to make it. And then I want to have time to eat it and enjoy it. I want to eat slowly enough that my stomach can tell my brain when I'm full. And that takes 20 minutes minimum. So I want to have at least that long to consume my lunch. And then I want to be able to clean up afterward. I don't want to have a bunch of dishes in the sink when I get ready to fix dinner. Because then before I can even start dinner, I have to clean up from lunch. Personally, I don't like that. I don't want to start with a clean kitchen. So I clean as I go, and I allow that time for my lunch break. Your mileage may vary. How you choose to do these things can vary. But take a break. Take a break. It is very, very important. It actually helps you think more clearly if you take breaks. You might have heard about this technique that's going around. It's been really popular for a couple of years now, called the Pomodoro technique. It is where you work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, work for 25, take a 5-minute break, etc. I really like that. I find that helpful for some tasks. If I am writing, I'm also writing a book because, I have to have lots of irons in the fire at any time or I get bored. That's just my nature. I'm also writing a book, and that is very helpful for me when I'm writing. And if I'm really on a roll, I will finish my thought before I take that 5-minute break. When I'm doing tech, I'm doing the back end stuff for the course, because all those things you click on and it brings up the next lesson. You have to program all that stuff. So when I'm doing that, I don't want the interruption of the alarm going off because that will throw me off. And then I have to get back to what I was doing. So I don't want to do that. So it depends on the task. How often do I want to take a break? When do I want to take a break? What do I want to do on the break? And let's just call the break siesta. There's a great t-shirt here in Valencia that says, no siesta, no fiesta. And I think that that is very true. Not just in the fact of our physical energy, but in our emotional energy, in our mental energy, and our bandwidth. We have to have some space. It's like you can't buy new furniture until you move some of the old furniture out of your house. I want to get a new couch. I think I've mentioned this on one of these before. Still haven't gotten around to it because I haven't found one that I like better than the one that I have. But when I get ready to move the new one in, the old one is going to have to go out on the same day or before because there is no room for 2 of them in my home. And it's the same thing with things that we're trying to do. We have to clear out some space to let the new stuff come in. I take a break when I am shifting gears in my job because that allows all the stuff I'm thinking about to kind of wind down. Now, if you're a meditator, you know that in meditation, we don't force our mind to stop thinking. We allow it to. And it's like taking a glass with stuff in it. This is my glass from my watercolors. It's a little bit of tint in it. If I stir it up, then it's going to show the tint of the water a lot. If I just set it down and leave it alone for a little while, then some of the pigment will settle to the bottom and the water will become more clear than it is right now. It's that way with our brains. If we just sit still and leave it alone, our thoughts will settle, allowing us to have some clarity up above all the muck. That's where the siesta comes in, because then we can take a few minutes to let things settle. I have to take a few minutes to stop thinking about the chakra course and the graphics that I still need and the one task remaining on the slide deck, which is explaining which chakras are related to which organs in the body. And I have to put that aside and then focus on the technical side of things. And they all have to be done at the same time. And you're wondering, well, why shift back and forth? There is actually a method to that madness, because as I do the tech, I spot things that I need to do in the course and vice versa. So there is a reason why I go back and forth, but I only go back and forth maybe once a day. I'll do one for a few hours and then do the other for a few hours. So it's not like I'm pigging back and forth all the time. That would be a lot of wasted energy. But when I am shifting gears from one to the other, having a few minutes where I'm not thinking about what I just did is very helpful. You've probably had a job where at the end of the day, you had to take a moment to stop thinking about the job. Exactly. So the siesta, that little time in there to rest, is incredibly helpful. Doesn't have to be 2 hours, but if you can do 2 hours, blessings to you. That would rock, right? I would love to do that. I haven't quite sorted my day yet to where I can feel comfortable taking a 2 hour siesta a day. But 30 minutes to an hour, I'm good with that. All right. I hope that's helpful to you and that you maintain some work-life balance. If you're not working, then what is your job? Maybe your job is homemaker. Maybe your job is childcare. Maybe your job is elder care. Maybe your job is simply being the best version of you you can be. Whatever that is, whatever you're working on, even if it's yourself, have some balance, have some love for yourself, have some downtime. Take a goddamn siesta. Take care, everybody. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.